What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gridiron here at House Call Sports. My name is Sam, and introducing officially to the House Call family, Mike Banners. How you doing, Mike? Everything great?
What's going on, man? Things are great here. So happy to join the team. I'm excited. Excited for the
awesome stuff. You guys, I cannot wait to discuss football with you, Mike. Today, we're going to be discussing the Niners against the Seahawks last night. A must-win game for the Bengals. The Jets and the Bills fight for the division lead and a bit more. But before we get into that, first, a quick word from our sponsor, Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats is the most trustworthy and easy to navigate ticketing website. They have reliable and rewarding tickets with a 100% buyer's guarantee, which means your transaction will be safe and secure. You will get full service customer care and be compensated for any canceled events. And it's got the only ticket rewards program around. All that means, ladies and gentlemen, football season is at an all-time high right now. The postseason is going on. NBA games are going to be starting to ramp up. The NHL season, if you like hockey, Vivid Seats is the place for you. Hit the link in our description and go sit vividly. Now, Mike, last night,
Woo!
What a game.
What a
game.
Am
I right? It was a very, very interesting game. Niners came out very hot, 23-3 lead at one point.
I figured
we got a kickoff. We got a kickoff return for a touchdown.
It's good. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the game itself was a pleasure to watch. I know my brother, who gambles just a bit. He decided to gamble $70 in the second half for George Kittle to score 2 touchdowns, the over being 50 points, and then I believe it was the Niners to win. Mind you, the Niners were up by like 20, so I think he was a little bit like, all right, the Niners will win this.
It got a little tough in the second half.
It did, Mike. And that my brother started to worry. I started to worry because this idiot was starting to spend money. Why are you spending $70, Elias? But regardless, we have a lot to talk about concerning Thursday Night Football. But before we get into the players and what the players did, a bit of concerning news came from the news broadcast itself. The NFL vice president of Instant Replay, he went on and said, once we had San Francisco's challenge, we were looking to see if the returner did indeed touch the ball. We went through all available angles, and we get the raw feed from the truck.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. How do they not get the angle that we get on TV? That makes no sense. That's their job. That's basically what they are paid for. And they can't get the angle that we see as fans?
As fans.
Unbelievable.
Mind you, it is Amazon, so maybe Amazon had access with it. Maybe it was an Amazon camera that caught it. But you're the damn NFL. This is a $1 billion corporation, Mike.
It's a joke.
It is. It is indeed a joke. And luckily, the game itself wasn't completely affected by it. I do think the better team won. But it would have been a little concerning if that one play decided the entire game, and it would be all on the NFL and not with the two teams battling it out. Yeah. But nonetheless, we got a winner last night. It was the San Francisco 49ers. They won. I believe the score was 36-24.
Yeah, it was a good game.
A huge first half from the Niners defense, forcing 2 turnovers and then putting up 16 points. The second half,
Fred Warner is a bad man. Man.
Let me tell you something about Fred Warner. Last year, I was of the mind that Roquan Smith was the best linebacker in football. That has completely shifted, and Fred Warner is now, without a single shadow of a doubt, the best linebacker in football, no question. I mean, his eye for the ball.
Bar none.
His eye for the ball, I mean, his zone instincts, his man instincts, everything about the guy just screams football elite middle linebacker, man. And it's a pleasure to watch. Like, I don't think anybody really, like, I don't know of a single linebacker since like Luke Kuechly where it's like, I need to watch him play.
Yeah, I agree.
Fred Warner is very similar, Mike.
100%. I agree. That's a great analogy. Yeah, Luke Kuechly, he was a monster, but yeah, Warner's right up there. He just makes the play. He's a ball hawk. Anytime that ball's in the air, he's finding it. And he reads defenses. You can tell that he studies.
Yeah, and if you see the film on Fred Warner, you just know exactly how insane the guy actually is. But let's talk about Brock Purdy for a second, because the narrative around Brock Purdy was that he was an okay quarterback heading into last year. We are now in 2024. He just finished reaching a Super Bowl, Mike. What's your assessment of Brock Purdy up until now, at least?
So I'm going to be honest. I did think he was a game manager for a few years, and I was kind of a hater, but I'm starting to become a believer because when he played against the Patriots, he was moving, he was ducking in and out of there, he was dotting passes down the field, looked incredible, and he's just been doing that week to week. He's a scrambling quarterback, he makes the right reads, and he's not a game manager because game managers do 5-yard passes, run plays, little screen passes. He puts the ball down the field. He really does. He makes the right play, and I'm starting, especially with them missing Debo at the beginning of the year, everything they've been missing for the beginning of this year, the way he's still been playing. I know they haven't been the Niners that we expect, but I'm starting to become a big believer in Brock Purdy. Could be a quarterback anywhere, and anybody would be happy to have him.
Right, and Brock Purdy straight up has silenced all the critics. I mean, he's not a game manager anymore. And if you think so at this point, I think you just got to watch the guy. You just got to watch the guy play.
He's special. He's Mr. Irrelevant, but no, he's not Mr. Irrelevant no more.
Yeah, I think the expectations at this point for Brock Purdy should be and are very high. Now, despite this, the Niners have started 3-3. The Seahawks starting 3-3 kind of took everybody by surprise because they started 3-0. So but granted, they were against like semi-weak opponents. Now you face 3 semi-legit. I mean, the Giants, I don't know if we're going to call the Giants legit in 2024, but I do think the Giants are a lot better than they were last year. But they're the Giants, so we're not going to admit that.
You shouldn't lose to the Giants this year. They're a dumpster fire.
They're
are right there with the Jets.
I mean, and we'll get to the Jets very, very soon. But yeah, the Seahawks are now 3-3. They've lost 3 straight games. I thought this loss against the Giants was the worst loss. This one was just a little not worse, but right there, because the way they started this football game as flat as they did, Mike, was crazy.
That was the problem. They started flat. They were getting blown out, down by 20, and they look great in the second half. But you got to start strong. You got to start strong, and you got to finish smart.
Yeah, and it doesn't help, Mike, that they trying to run the ball was just not happening. I mean, they only had 52 rushing yards. Kenneth Walker probably had his worst game of possibly his entire career. Only 14 carries, 32 yards. He did have a touchdown. He was very active in the passing game. He had 8 catches. But I'd say running the football left a lot to be desired. Only 52 yards on 20 carries, Mike. It was pitiful.
I think he's still getting back into game shape.
Right.
Kenneth Walker, he's been out. So I'd give him a few more weeks to see how he does because he's a hell of a running back. So I definitely give him a few more weeks, but no, I mean, you're playing the Niners defense. They've got a hell of a run stop. Again, they got Fred Warner back there,
right,
stopping the run. So it's not anything to put on them. They went a great defense. So time will tell.
It is a great defense. And coming into the year, ironically, I thought to myself, well, this defense is kind of going to regress a bit. It's going to be not as good as it has been in past years. But surprisingly, it's not too bad. So it's definitely still leaves a lot to be desired, right? Like it's compared to the Niners defenses we've seen in the past. But considering where they are, like they're still 11th in yards per game. The points per game, they're 14th, a little middle of the pack. I think the problem this year with the Niners is really their secondary. I think their secondary has always kind of been a problem, but their front seven has really been the strength that has been able to mask that. And even with Charvarius Ward out last night, they were still able to hold DK Metcalf to a very pedestrian game. He had about 3 catches and 48 yards.
He was getting upset on the sidelines. He was getting upset. That's something to look into. He was throwing the headset off. He was not listening to the coaches. I think that's something we're going to be watching down the line with DK. Yeah, because he's a hell of a talent.
He is one hell of a talent. I do think that Geno Smith is also a hell of a talent. The way he's actually been playing very good this year. And I was very surprised to see against a Niners secondary that was compromised that the passing offense at the beginning of the game was just not there. Geno threw 2 picks, one of them being late in the fourth quarter. That ended up costing them points.
Big one right down the middle.
But an opening drive interception I mean, the picks that Geno Smith, like, there were reads that I cannot throws that I couldn't believe he made. Like, usually we see Geno relatively smart with the football.
I agree. I mean, but it was his birthday yesterday, and he threw 52 passes. So that's not a recipe for success for most teams. You got to have a little bit more balance than that. So, I mean, Geno's a hell of a quarterback. He's come a long way, but yeah, you just can't make those mistakes in the fourth quarter. That's the difference.
Right. Another thing I do want to discuss before we do move on is the Niners rushing offense. I mean, you had Jordan Mason go out, and right where they left off, Isaac Guerrendo, 10 carries, 99 yards. They
plug and play. Put anybody you want in. It doesn't matter. It blows my mind. It almost shows that the running back position in the NFL, you could pick anybody at this point, or maybe it's just the Niners and it's their system. It's just incredible. You could put Joe Schmo out there, and he's going to get 100 yards. And he should have had a touchdown. He went down to stop to make a smart play at the end of the game. It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, and that just shows that, you throw Christian McCaffrey there, and that offense hits another gear. So the fact that the offense is still steady, I mean, it's just a testament. I do think the Seahawks are going to need to bounce back. I don't know exactly who they play in the following week. I can go check for us right now. But the fact that they've lost 3 straight games is concerning in and of itself. They do face Atlanta. So Atlanta's a pretty solid team. It doesn't get any easier for them. They got to try to figure it out very
Atlanta
soon. Yeah, it is Atlanta. Atlanta is
Judon that's going to be chasing them all game, so he better be ready.
They better.
Judon, I mean, I know firsthand being a Pats fan, Judon is a hell of a player, so he is going to have his hands full with that Atlanta team.
Yeah, especially considering the Seahawks offensive line has been very wishy-washy lately. And against that front seven, against the Niners, it was brutal. Now, Atlanta hasn't been able to really establish too much of a pass rush this year, so Seahawks might be okay, but I will say that they do have some figuring out to do. They have 10 days to do it. So
yeah, I think the Seahawks will win that game. I'm not sold on the Falcons, so I think they'll be all right. I think they're going to bounce back.
Right. Here's another important game we'll get to. The Jets against the Bills, a huge divisional rivalry game. I know you've been dying to talk about this.
The Jets are done. They're done.
You want to get right into it? Go ahead.
Get right into it. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is the LeBron James of the NFL. You want to know why? Because all of the eyes are on him, and if it doesn't go well, he doesn't get in trouble. The coach does. And look what happened. 2-3, bye-bye, Robert Saleh. It's just how it is. You should have known it when you wanted the guy, when you went and got the guy. This is now what you're going to get. That if they're not doing well, he will get some of the blame, but it's going to be the coaches that are going to take the most. And I just don't see them turn the season around. I get kind of why they did it. I just don't think it was a smart move. And we'll see. But the Jets, man, they haven't been good since Mark Sanchez and that Rex Ryan defense, and that ended on Thanksgiving with the butt fumble. So since then, I mean, there really hasn't been anything. So I just don't expect anything from the Jets.
Well, I on the other hand think that the Jets are going to be able to formulate some kind of structure at the very least for a little bit of the season. I do think that the defense is still going to be right on track because they did keep the defensive coordinator. I think they're going to be behind him, and they're going to be fighting for Saleh. I think the defense is going to be just fine. My actual concern comes with the offense, and we're just going to go ahead and read some stats concerning this offense. They're 25th in points per game, 27th in yards per game, 27th in yards per play. They're good on third down. They're 10th overall in third down, and when they get to the red zone itself, they're not bad. They're 11th. But another thing we have to point out is the fact that, quite frankly, their run game is non-existent. With Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, they can't formulate a run game for anything. And it sucks. They're 30th in yards per run. They're 26th in rushes per game, 3.6 yards per rush. That is good for third worst in the NFL. They're the worst rushing team in the NFL as well. So they can't run the ball. And then on top of that, their passing offense itself really isn't that good. This is a team, mind you, I want to give you some context, Mike. This team is third in the entire NFL in passes per game, right? But they are 28th in yards per pass. They are 19th in yards per game. And, well, quite frankly, to put it to you simple, yes, they're passing the ball a lot, but they're not getting the effectiveness. Nothing's really working. And that boils down to a couple things. One, the play of Aaron Rodgers. No, one, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Two, the play of Aaron Rodgers. And then three, the offensive line just isn't as good as everybody thought it was going to be. They got Morgan Moses. I believe they got I'm fumbling the name of the tackle that they got from Dallas. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. I'm going to go figure that out right now. I don't know why I'm forgetting. Okay, I got it right here. I cannot believe I forgot his name for whatever reason. Give me a sec, Rob. I know you're on my ass because I should already know this. Tyron Smith. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Smith.
Tyron Smith. I cannot believe I forgot his name.
Football.
He was. And this offense is just not good. Which brings me to my next point. Firing Robert Saleh was just a mistake. It just was. I don't think.
It was a panic move. It was a panic move. You had to put the blame on somebody. Put it on Rodgers.
And now.
Some accountability.
And now going forward, we're going to expect to contend with an interim head coach. And now just focusing on the game itself against the Bills, who have some problems with their own concerning Josh Allen and his concussion.
Oh, he was terrible last week. So
he was 9 of 30
good against that defense.
Right. And I'm looking at this like wide receiving core.
9 for 30 for like 130 yards, Josh
Allen. 9 for 30. Yes. But at the same time, you look at what Allen has to work with. I mean, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and then you have Mac Hollins, Curtis Samuel. I thought Curtis Samuel was a great pickup. He has not shown up lately.
I thought he was going to do a lot. He hasn't even done anything on the field. I thought he was going to be a lot better.
No, he has not. And now
Keon Coleman's his best receiver.
They is, but he's not a wide receiver one. And they lost that when they lost Diggs. So now
it hurts.
So now they lost Stephon Diggs, but they never really got anybody to replace him. They never. This is not, and this is different from the Vikings. They thought they could pull the Vikings. The Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs, and they drafted Justin Jefferson. Sorry, that doesn't work
happen
like
all the time. It's not always going to happen.
Justin Jefferson's a generational receiver. Okay, that's not going to happen. But just focusing on the game itself. I mean, first of all, I want to ask, who do you got winning this game? Because it really does seem like a toss-up considering all things considered with both teams.
So I think the Bills are going to win the game. Right. I just think that the Jets, I just don't believe in the Jets. I mean, they've got to show me. Josh Allen has been doing it for years, and they didn't play well, and he's going to be upset. I think he's going to have a decent game. He's going against a tough defense. You know, that's the one thing the Jets can hang their hats on, but I'm seeing the Bills winning handedly in this game.
Yeah, I want to believe in the Jets. I really do. But even if the Jets do win this game, I don't think it's enough for me to be convinced that they're truly contenders, which is what they're trying to do. Like, forget the division for a second, right? This team, this Jets team, this Bills team, they're trying to win a Super Bowl. Both teams right now both teams right now have made moves that have directly affected their Super Bowl chances. You got the firing of Robert Saleh, one, and then for the Bills, the trading away of Stephon Diggs and not really accommodating for that fact. Right now, in my humble opinion, both of these teams are looking like first round wild card exits. I'll be honest. I don't see any.
I agree. 100% agree if they get there, the Jets.
AFC right now is a crapshoot.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a crapshoot right now in the AFC, and I know any given Sunday, but the Jets, the way they're constructed,
all the NFL right now, it's more even than it's been in a while.
The way the Jets are constructed, I just don't trust it. Aaron Rodgers' play, look, clearly he's not the same player. Okay, and I know the games against the Patriots and the Tennessee Titans are just such eye openers for some people. But the fact of the matter it proves nothing because now you face the Broncos. The Broncos have a legit defense, but they don't have an offense. 60 yards of passing and you lose. Then the very next week, Vikings, elite defense as well, right? Yeah. But your defense is helping you out. Your defense is actually holding strong. What happens? Nothing happens. I'm not as optimistic. Now, things could change. Maybe the change of play callers from Nathaniel Hackett to Todd Downing can do something. I don't think it will. But right now, this Monday night is a very crucial game. It's very crucial because now it sets the tone for the rest of the season. It wasn't, in my opinion, it was crucial just because it just, where are we in this division? But now it's crucial because, okay, how are we going to look as a team now that our freaking head coach is gone? Okay, like that's what we're looking at it from.
Will Rodgers get the blame now? Will he get the blame if they don't look good?
I don't think Rodgers
can't blame the coach. It's his first week. Rodgers has been there now for 5.
I mean, my thing about Rodgers is, I first of all, I want to preface this by saying Rodgers is an exceptional talent. He's one of the greatest football players I've ever seen. I want to establish that. But another thing I do want to establish that I feel like the way they presented him in New York to this day, it's left a sour taste in my mouth. And I feel like, I don't know if I want the blame to go to Rodgers. I actually don't think that blame should go to him. I'll go to the person right above him. That's Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson, hands down, should be the one to blame here.
So no blame on Rodgers at all?
I will put some of the blame on Rodgers. Rodgers is going to get some blame because he's the quarterback. Every quarterback on every NFL team is going to get blamed.
All right.
But the owners literally walked him in on the red carpet. You want your backup QB that has no reason being in the NFL? We'll bring him in. Your tackle that sucks, we'll bring him in. Oh, the wide receiver, Allen Lazard, we'll go ahead and bring him in too.
Yeah, they did everything. They paid him for everything.
Nothing has warranted Aaron Rodgers just getting a red carpet. Nothing warranted. But Woody Johnson, he did it. And by doing that, he essentially, in the eyes of the public, gave Robert Saleh no power. He even brought in, and this was the most egregious part, he even brought in Nathaniel Hackett, who had just finished one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history. He gave him the offensive coordinator and play caller duties. Why? And now we're here. We're at 2-3, Mike. So no, I'm not going to blame Aaron Rodgers completely. I think a lot of it actually should go to the ownership, and it's a testament to how dysfunctional at the very core this Jets organization is.
But do you think that Rodgers has a lot of say in things to Woody Johnson? Because all of the moves that have been made, getting Lazard, someone he's familiar with, they're making these moves because it makes Rodgers happy. They want to keep the man happy.
Right. Some of it absolutely has. Rodgers can deny it all he wants, in my opinion. The way he was presented back in New York, you can't deny Rodgers had some kind of thing to do with all of this. You can't deny it because he literally impacted an entire aspect of a side of football, the offensive side of football. Robert Saleh, what I would imagine Robert Saleh was told, you know what, Robert Saleh, you have an elite defense in your hand. I'm going to bring in Nathaniel Hackett. We're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers. We know what you're going to say about Hackett, but guess what? Don't worry, because Aaron Rodgers is our QB. And look how that turned out for him. And now Robert Saleh is out of a job. And I think it's organizational malpractice because at his side of the ball, Robert Saleh, there was a stat that I read recently. In the last 4 years, there has been one team that has failed to score. I think it was, let me find it right now. Just to make sure. It's gonna be on Twitter somewhere. But let me tell you, there was an amazing stat that I got from Robert Saleh. And it's just a testament to how amazing the defense really was.
He's a defensive-minded coach.
Absolutely. I got it right here. Only one team in the NFL has failed to score 100-plus touchdowns over the course of the last 4 seasons, and it's been the New York Football Jets. And somehow, some way, they correlated that and the offense sucking to Robert Saleh being to blame.
Yeah,
Mike,
agree.
It was ridiculous. And this week, right here against the Bills, I think Josh Allen makes a statement. I think Josh Allen, even without a wide receiver one, he makes a statement. I think he's gonna stamp himself as an MVP candidate again. He has 8 touchdowns and 0 picks. He's going to be back again. And the Jets, I'm sorry, I don't care how good your team looks on paper. You have to show me that you can contend. And up to this point, even with the talent that you have on both sides of the ball,
yeah,
I don't buy it, Mike.
You got Sauce Gardner out there, ball hawking, and then you got Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. I mean, they've been good, but I expected more. But again, I think when you are the New York Jets, this is just what happens at this point. This is just what happens, and this is the organization. And until I see it change for a whole season, I'll never be a believer.
Yeah.
In that team.
And in fairness, I'm going to say this, and I think it should resonate. Bad organizations will find a way to remain bad organizations. And
Look
the
at the
Jets,
Browns. Yeah.
The Browns, the Jets, hell, even the Panthers. The Panthers had an all-time great season in 2015.
So trust me on the Panthers.
Yeah.
Woo, we got
my goodness. That organization has found a way. These organizations find a way. Even the Dolphins, they will find a way to make things worse for themselves, even if everything is going fine and dandy. Let me tell you, it's ridiculous.
It's culture.
It is. It has everything to do with culture. And if you don't build a good culture, look at some examples. I know we knock on the Chiefs, but look at the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs are banged up, right? The Chiefs have no business. Like at wide receiver, they have nobody, but they have what? A great QB. They have an elite head coach, and they win.
They have an incredible QB. I mean, Mahomes is patching up all those mistakes over there. That's what he's doing. He's special.
And you look at the organization, like even the Baltimore Ravens. Back when Baltimore was looking like they were about to hit a can, guess what they did? They draft Lamar Jackson mid-season. You know what, Lamar? You take the keys. And ever since then, the Ravens have been a staple in the AFC. Have they won it all? No, they haven't. But at the very least, they are a respected organization. The San Francisco 49ers are another. And I could go on with organizations.
Yeah.
But bad organizations like the Jets, like the Browns, etc., they will find a way. They will find a way, Mike, to remain bad organizations. Now, we'll go ahead and move on, talking about the lowly New York Jets and the Bills.
Yeah.
We'll talk about something a little bit more urgent. That being the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals are 1-4 after a very, very close loss against the Ravens. They have had multiple close losses this season concerning the Commanders, the Chiefs, and the Ravens, and
even
a loss even to the Patriots. Yes, I was just about to mention your Patriots, right?
Win of the year.
And I mean, it's to a 1-4 team. Of all the 1-4 teams, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Unbelievable.
But I want to make this very clear to all the Bengals fans that say, "Oh, we always go on to slow starts." This is a bit more than a slow start.
Yeah.
This is a bit more than a slow start.
Yeah.
Because unlike
the Commanders' loss was
unlike the past couple of years, your defense hasn't looked like utter garbage. We're talking 26th in the league in yards per game, 31st in points per game, 23rd in yards per play. You are the second worst third down defense in the entire league. You don't get off the field. Red zone defense, you're 25th. So when they get into the red zone, most of the time, they're going to score.
Yeah.
I say all that to say this. Joe Burrow might be able to save your offensive line. He won't be able to save your team. Your team has gotten worse. Your team has gotten so much worse that even to this week on Sunday Night Football, Giants versus Bengals, which honestly has no business being on Sunday Night Football looking at the schedule, we were getting it because that game is the most important game at this point, up to this point for the Bengals all year long. And it's important for the Giants too.
This is their season right now. If they lose this game, they're done. There's no more time. They need to get it right now. And with Burrow and Chase, they can. But again, that defense is abysmal. So if they go and they lose to the New York Football Giants, that season's over.
I mean, just a stat that I want to read. There have not been a lot of teams to start 1-5 and make the playoffs. There haven't. And I'm not going to look at the number itself, but the number's probably low. Okay. Decades of football, the number's probably very low. 1-5 is not an ideal start. And considering the AFC being an absolute, like I said, crapshoot, the AFC North, that's the division you're in, that has teams like the Steelers, teams like the Ravens. We'll forget about the Browns because they suck. But you shouldn't have their record. You shouldn't have the Browns record at this point, but you do, Mike, and it's ridiculous.
No. I mean, they had tough games in the Chiefs and the Ravens.
And if they lose this game this week against the Giants, I mean, there's no question. I do want to talk about Joe Burrow because, and Mike, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me here. I feel very, very bad for Joe Burrow, man, because Joe Burrow he's off to the best start of his career.
He's great. He's been great. He's been great his whole career. I mean, he was the only one who went into Arrowhead and called it Burrowhead. I mean, he's been a stud for a while, and he needs better coaching, better defense, and some help. And Jamar Chase has got to get on board 100%. He had that contract dispute, and I think that was a big thing to start the year. And then T. Higgins, and it was just a lot of diva stuff going on in the beginning. I think it's hurt them.
It has hurt them, and on top of that, I mean, Jamar Chase himself he's been good, right? I mean, 5 games in, 400.
He's had some big plays. That's what he does.
493 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. So he's been as advertised. He's trying to earn that contract money 1,000%. But I think where you really turn your head, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Joe Burrow. 1,300 passing yards. We're only 5 games in. Joe Burrow has been this offense. And Chase have been this offense because you look at the run game, and the run game is absolutely pitiful. I mean, we're talking about 28th in the league in rushing yards. So quite simply,
they're missing Joe Mixon.
Yeah, they are. They're 1,000% missing Joe Mixon. I didn't think Joe Mixon was that good. But I will say that, I mean, he was something better than what they have right now, right? Chase Brown and Zach Moss just have not been good whatsoever. I mean, you're looking at the rushing yards between the two. They're combining themselves for 441 rushing yards. Zach Moss has more carries than Chase Brown, and he has 211 yards, and he has more carries by 16. So this team, 1,000% is just missing a run game. They're missing the defense. This isn't a Super Bowl team. Let's call it what it is. It's not.
No, and Burrow said it himself. He said, we are not a playoff team at all right now. We're not a championship team. He knows it. He sees it. And if he's the leader, then everybody else has to see it too.
Right. And it's a shame because this team, I know we like to look at the past and like, oh my gosh, Sam, it's the past. Leave it alone. It's the past. He made it. Yes, it's the past, but like a Super Bowl appearance, an AFC Championship appearance, it means something. It was 2 years ago. It's not that faint in the past to the point where it's like, oh, we got to completely forget about it.
It was becoming
no.
It was becoming a normal. It was becoming like, this is the team. This is the team to go against the Chiefs that can take Mahomes down. This is the guy, Joe Burr. He was and to have them be where they are right now is just stunning. It really is.
Yeah, because I remember the Bengals were one of those teams that were dead in the water at one point before Joe Burrow got there. Then they got Joe Burrow. They drafted Jamar Chase. What ended up happening? That team took off. But ever since that Super Bowl appearance, the organization got complacent. They did not improve the offensive line what they needed to. Zach Taylor as the head coach, still not good. He wasn't good in the Super Bowl run. He's not good now. And unfortunately, now we're here at 1-4 with a must-win game.
Could you imagine if they didn't have Joe Burrow?
Hello.
What would they be without Joe Burrow?
Right. It's been vanilla ever since that Super Bowl run, their play calling hasn't been creative, right? They've been just. It seems like Joe Burrow is like, okay, we're just gonna throw it up for Jamar Chase.
Yes,
and it's worked.
It works, but it's not
now what? You know what I mean? Now what, Mike? Like, what else are we gonna get?
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It sucks so hard because I think of dynasties like the Kansas City Chiefs, but there's always a monkey wrench in those dynasties. And Joe Burrow was supposed to be the monkey wrench, and he is, and I still think he can be. But he's the true monkey wrench in this dynasty. And unfortunately, the team around him, excluding, of course, Jamar Chase and certain players on the defensive end, it's just not working, Mike. It's just not working.
There's 3 phases in football. You've got to do defensively, you've got to be great, special teams, and offense. And right now, the offense, it's doing well, but the rest of it's just not coming along right now. And until they get that together, they're not going to be a championship team again.
Right. And Giants fans, before you guys get on me for the fact that we haven't talked much about him, for the record, there's nothing much really talk about.
Yeah, Danny
Malik Neighbors is the one guy that I would probably talk about endlessly because
he's more interested in being at the Travis Scott concert than maybe.
And then he had a setback on third. Look, I don't know if I'm not a doctor. So I'm not gonna go ahead and assume that he's not allowed to go to a concert because he has a concussion. But I would imagine.
Well, it's loud at the concert.
It's there. Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I was about to mention that. It's very loud, right? You got to rest. You got a football game. On Thursday, you come in. You suffer a setback. 2 and 2 together.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to make speculations myself concerning that.
He also did not want to get spotted. Clearly, if you see the video, he's trying to hide. He's at this point. If you're in New York and you're performing, it's hard for you to get missed. Okay, because you should have known that. Yeah.
Malik Neighbors is an exceptional talent, right? And again,
he's phenomenal. He is. The only reason they're semi-exciting a little bit is to watch that kid play.
Ironically enough, and I know you're probably gonna be like, I don't want to get too excited. Daniel Jones, man. Look, I know the reputation concerning Daniel Jones, not very good, of course, but looking at it like this, right? 5 games in, 1,100 passing yards. 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not a complete disaster.
No, I don't think thought he was going to be. I think he's getting all of the blame. And here's my thing: how come Daniel Jones is getting all of the blame on that team, but Rodgers isn't on his? There you go. He has been not the reason why they are.
I think it's more because Daniel Jones. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of people are blaming.
People just hate him. They hate Daniel Jones. They have videos of him walking up to the facility and can't get in.
Yeah, that in my opinion is a result of him playing bad, but also 2, New York, man. It's freaking New York, and New York is one of those cities. It's one of those cities where you play bad, they will let you. They're one of the. They're such an unseriously. I live in Florida, right? We're in Miami. Miami takes sports seriously. I guarantee you, we do not take him as seriously as the cities of Boston, the cities of New York, and the cities of Philly, and they just don't happen to be very close to each other. I don't know what's going on up there in the Northeast, but it's pretty damn electric.
We crazy in the Northeast about our sports. It's live or die, every day.
If the Mets don't win the World Series, the Mets suck. The Mets are gonna Mets. You guys are having a good season. Relax. The Yankees are the same thing. All the success they've had.
The world is ending. The world is ending all the time. Every game. If it's a good game, it's all right. It's not even that it's a ton of positivity. They only look at the negative too. So it's just, this is what comes with living in the Northeast and playing in the Northeast.
Man, we'll see what happens concerning the New York Giants and the Cincinnati Bengals for sure. I, for one, am very excited to see if Daniel Jones can replicate this past week's performance. And if he does, and if he's able to string in a couple of great performances without Malik Neighbors, I mean, who knows? I mean, against the Seahawks, he was damn good. Let's put it there. Like he was damn good there. If against the Bengals, he starts to string in. Granted, the Bengals aren't exactly a defense that I think is very impressive to torch them. But man, if you give him some confidence, maybe the contract isn't that bad. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he deserves all the hate he's getting. I don't.
That's fair. I do think he gets a bit overhated. I do think part of it is, of course, the Giants being a terrible organization, much like the Jets. Sorry, Jets fans. No, I'm not.
No,
it's just the fact is I think that Daniel Jones has had years to really get better, and he hasn't. And I think it's year 6, and people are like, Daniel, stop. You can't be making those mistakes at this time. You know,
but he still does. He still does.
And he still does. So I think people look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, like, can we move off of him, please? And they're thinking, oh, if this guy could get multiple chances, why can't like a guy like, Geno Smith, who finally got his chance? And then he goes, look at Sam Darnold, right? And the way he's pulling it off.
Who saw that coming?
No one did. Let me tell you.
Well, that's
a conversation.
That's like what you said about the organizations. You go from the New York Jets to the Minnesota Vikings, and all of a sudden, you're a stud. It's sometimes the organization.
Yeah. Speaking of organizations, who would have thought we'd be talking very well about the Washington Commanders up until this point? I mean, before the season started, I think we all agreed Jaden Daniels very raw. Not exactly, ready yet. Should have kind of backed up before we shut up very quickly.
Because I have been very impressed with the Washington.
I have as well.
Commanders. I have been he has looked the part from day one. And what I hear is he gets there at 6 a.m. every day, and he puts in the work, and he is the last to leave. So those are the behind the scenes things that people don't see that he's putting in, and it's showing up on the field. And I am starting to become a believer. I am not sure if I fully am yet, but I'm really starting to look at the Commanders as a serious threat going forward.
Yeah, and the defense, to say the least, it's not very good, right? Not a very good third down. No. Not a very good third down team. They're not very good in terms of points per game. Yeah. But the offense, I mean, let's go ahead.
McLaurin and McDaniels and the way they're going, Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. I mean, look at that running backfield there. I mean, they have been showing out, and those are 2 starters on the same team.
Yeah, and Eckler in the offseason was seen as a very under the radar signing, but Eckler as a pass catcher has really evolved. I think now
he was great in LA.
Yeah, he was amazing in LA. He kind of had a down year. He decided, well, I'm going to move on to the Commanders, and he's become a rushing threat, and he's become an amazing receiving threat. Looking at the offensive statistics, this is Jaden Daniels year 1, right? 5 games in, 1st in scoring, 4th in yards. I mean, they're the best third down team. I want you to understand this is a rookie, okay? A rookie having the number one third down offense in the entire league. That is relatively impressive. This kid is cool, calm, collective when it comes to being under pressure. And you add the fact that he's an exceptional thrower of the football, right?
I didn't see that coming. I thought he was going to be more of a runner.
I did not see coming at all.
Kind of like an RG3 a little bit, like more of a running quarterback than making some great throws. But he throws some dots, and it is so impressive right now.
Yeah, so, 8 total touchdowns, 2 picks. He's got 300 rushing yards, 1,100 passing yards. I mean, he's
had a little bit. They have had a weaker schedule, and it's going to get tougher in the second half. So we'll see how he does. But it's been impressive up to this point.
Right, and looking forward against a team like the Ravens, who just got, to say the least, it's been a very interesting season so far to start the year for the Ravens. This is the Commanders' first big test, I believe. We thought the Bengals were a test. It's looking like the Bengals are more towards down, but the Ravens, this team's an AFC contender.
I don't think anybody wants to face the Ravens right now. With you added Derrick Henry. I mean, and you have Lamar Jackson. Like on a play on those plays, how are you going to stop them? You know, it's unbelievable right now what they're doing.
Number one offense. I mean, number two offense, I believe. Let me go ahead and fact check that because I hate being wrong on this show.
I mean, on pass option read. I mean, it's unbelievable. What are you going to do? Oh, Lamar can pull it back and then run for 50 yards, or you're looking at Lamar and he gives it to Derrick Henry. He breaks off for 70 yards. He's been doing it all year already.
Yeah, second in points, first in yards per game. The rushing offense has been the bread and butter. They're first in yards per attempt. They run the ball more than any team in the league, and they're the best rushing offense in the league. So it very much correlates.
I think he's the guy that's getting that team over the hump, Derrick Henry. The fact that they added him and he's got a lot left in the tank.
He looks like he does, and I think the concern with Derrick Henry coming in was like, how much does he have left? Clearly enough, he leads the league in rushing so far. So it's insane the longevity of Derrick Henry, hands down, going into the Hall of Fame, going down as one of the greatest running backs of all time. I mean, he's just the fact that he's this good still. I mean, we all know the stigma when it comes to running backs, right? Like they just
short lifespan,
very short.
You're washed.
Exactly. Very, very short. But Derrick Henry, I mean, he's on his Frank Gore arc right now. I mean, he is very efficient.
Good analogy. Very good analogy.
Very, very efficient. He's running the ball with power, and he's still got a bit of speed to cut it outside. I am concerned, however, for Baltimore's passing offense. And it's not so much for Lamar Jackson. It's so much because they still haven't added a real threat out there.
No, and once they lost Hollywood Brown, it's been tough. I mean, they don't have anything really to scare
Zay Flowers, in my opinion, is good. I do like Zay Flowers a lot. I do think Mark Andrews kind of fell off a cliff. Isaiah Likely, in that first game, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to overtake. And he's good.
He's good, but I thought he was going to, the way he looked in the first game, I thought he might be a breakout star for them. Still yet to be seen, but Isaiah Likely, I mean, he's going to be a big difference in how they do going forward, because if you get that elite wide receiver with Lamar and Derrick Henry, they're unstoppable. You can't stop that offense.
Right. And Lamar throwing the ball this year actually has not, like I know a lot of people aren't very fond of Lamar Jackson's passing, but I mean, 5 games in, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good on. Look, the receivers are still a lot to be desired, but Lamar Jackson himself is a damn difference maker, Mike. And he is, in my opinion, I don't see anybody else other than I see him as the MVP.
I mean, he was the MVP for a reason.
He might go back to back the way he's
probably
playing.
Gonna win it again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any. If Joe Burrow and the Bengals had a better record, I'd probably put Joe Burrow. But right now, Lamar Jackson, the way he's winning football games, the way he's playing in these games, it's hands down him right now as the front runner for MVP. Now, can they sustain this? Now, can they sustain this level of rushing ability? Now,
I think they can.
In December and in January, this rushing offense, this is going to be great. But there come times where Lamar Jackson's going to move. They're going to need to throw down the field, Mike. And that's been where in the playoffs, things haven't been very fortunate for them.
That's a great point. Listen, the thing is with Lamar is he's a great regular season quarterback, but he's got to prove that he can get to the Super Bowl. At the end of the day, he hasn't done that yet. And that's what everyone's waiting for. So he's done everything else. He's won MVPs. He's won all these games. But until he becomes a champion, he hasn't hit what he needs to do.
Right. Absolutely. And it's he's already a Hall of Famer. He is. Yeah. And he already is a Hall of Famer. But I do think that one, it's that boogeyman.
You measure greatness by championships in every single sport. If you talk about any single player, it's like, how many championships did they win? At the end of the day, that's just the way it is.
It is. And while I like to think a little bit more outside the box, I do think that when you boil it down, it comes down to, okay, he's really good. Well, how did he win? Did he win enough? That's going to be the stigma. That's always been that's the stigma with Aaron Rodgers. right? That's going to be the stigma with. Look at the all-time greats like Phillip Rivers, Dan Marino.
Never won one. Unbelievable.
They never won. Dan Marino is one of the only QBs never won a ring. Is still highly regarded, but he's never been considered an all-time great. Why? He never won. So at the end of the day, people don't like saying like winning, in my opinion, isn't a QB stat. However, at the very end of the day, that's what everybody's going to look at. And that's why everybody is going to always regard Tom Brady as the greatest of all time, because
that's the GOAT. That's the GOAT. He won 7. He won 6.
Keep an eye out. I'm going to piss Rob off. Keep an eye out for Patrick Mahomes, though. You really never know. Keep an eye out, man.
He's the one guy I said that if anybody was ever going to catch Brady, it was going to be him. But again, they still have to sustain that for another 10, 15 years. Yeah. And I think that's what people don't realize is what happened with Belichick and Brady is unbelievable. That they were able to keep that. And Brady went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. So if Mahomes wins this year and gets 4 and it's 3 away, watch out. I'll be watching.
Right. And with that being said, I mean, Lamar Jackson, I mean, you've won MVP. You've put together some incredible seasons. He's healthier, I think, than he's ever been. I don't think we've seen Lamar Jackson this healthy.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks healthy, and I think he's at the point in his career where he's got it all dialed in. So if it's going to be any year, it looks like this year.
Yeah, this year. And we all thought the same thing last year with how historic their defense was. But I think this year I think Lamar Jackson's turning it up a notch, because the way he's throwing the ball, along with the way he's like running the ball and the team itself, I do think that this Ravens team has a lot to be desired.
To me, that's the scariest team in the NFL right now.
Right. I definitely think that a hot Ravens team is very formidable. And now the Commanders, I mean, can you imagine how big of a win this would be for the Commanders if they could pull this off, Mike?
Massive for their confidence. They know who the Ravens are, but they don't know who they are yet. So if you beat the Ravens, that is going to make you confident and make you believe that you can do this year with Jaden Daniels. So it's something to watch for. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited. You got 2 elite quarterbacks right now playing at elite levels. So I'm excited. And I'm sure Jaden Daniels, I mean, this is a game that he has been waiting for.
Right. I mean, I'm sure a quarterback of Jaden Daniels' caliber always looked at Lamar Jackson, one of those guys like, yeah, that's that guy I want to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jaden Daniels and Lamar they're not that far of age, but I would imagine while Jaden was in high school, he saw a guy like Lamar Jackson and be like, that brother is cold. He is cold in college. He's cold. I want to face that guy. So we'll see down the line how this game goes this Sunday at 1:00. I hope it's around. I don't want to buy NFL Red Zone, but I might just to watch that game, just to like keep up with that game.
You should. It's gonna be a great one.
It is. And my Dolphins are in a bye week, fortunately, so I don't have to torture my eyeballs watching Tyler Huntley try to beat
Snoop Huntley. I mean, he took out my Patriots last week, so. Couldn't get 2 feet in bounds.
Look, yeah. I mean, speaking of the Patriots, we'll go ahead and throw in a bit of Patriots love. Drake May getting his first start.
Let's go.
Like just a little bit of Patriots love. It wasn't exactly. I wasn't playing. I do want to say this. About Drake May. Rob. I do want to say this. I think that this move was made at a very odd time. It was made at a time where I didn't really expect it, given the way Gerard Mayo was describing Jacoby Brissett. But I think internally, this team sees the close games that they are having.
Yeah, we could be 3-2. Did you? Yeah. Your Dolphins. You watched that game last week, right?
Yeah.
There's with the way our defense played, and the offense was pitiful.
Right.
Pitiful.
Right.
So it was time.
I think it was, and this. I think Jacoby Brissett fulfilled his purpose. 5 games. Let Jaden Daniels, let Drake May really develop under Jacoby Brissett.
Yes.
I'm a little worried for one reason and one reason only. The offensive line was getting beaten to absolute hell, and now they're facing a D'Amico Ryan defense. And
they faced one of the top Russian.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely gonna be baptism by fire. But I think Drake May, it's about time that they see what the kid can do, because you're looking at Jaden Daniels, you look at Caleb Williams and how they're performing relatively well.
Even Bo Nix.
Even Bo Nix is performing a lot better than a lot of people thought he would. But man, I think Drake May, I said it before and I'll say it again. I thought Drake May was hands down the second best QB prospect in this class. I think Drake May is going to be a phenomenal player. I just hope that this offensive line doesn't stunt his growth, because we've seen it in the past with Tua Tagovailoa and QBs like Andrew Luck, where yes, they can reach a certain height, but can they reach
the reason I'm optimistic is if you watch Drake May's highlights, he moves in the pocket very well. I'm not talking about running and escaping the pocket. It's keeping his eyes downfield and his feet moving away from pressure. Right. He does really good at that. He did well in the preseason. He had a 55-yard pass to Javon Baker that he couldn't complete, but he scuttled he moved his feet to the left, to the right. He felt the pressure coming without seeing it. He felt it. So that's what I'm hoping for. And at the end of the day, we still were giving 2.5 seconds average on, the quarterback having time. And with Brissett, he just wasn't getting rid of the ball in time. He had guys open. He wasn't reading the reads fast enough. So it's time for the kid to see what he can do. And I'm telling you right now, being a Patriots fan, there's some excitement right now. I hope that it stays this way. I'm trying to be a realist, but as a fan, I am excited because it gives us hope. We see that there could be a future. There could be this next guy. And it's bringing a lot of fire. And the way that the players talk about him, I'm just ready for it. I'm ready to just let this kid get some real game, play a whole game and see what he's got.
I'm excited too, man. And it's going to be a very interesting game. We're going to get Drake May versus CJ Stroud. Very excited.
I'm locked on Sunday. My girlfriend, she said she's going on a cruise or whatever, little boat thing. I'm like, have a great time. I'm going to be sitting by the TV watching the future. And
you better hope
it happen. I'm excited.
I hope it's the future, because I don't think you guys want another Mac Jones situation, man.
No, we can't. We listen. It's number 10, the same thing, but it's going to be a different thing going on this time.
Right.
I feel good about it. They're not the same kind of quarterback. I'm ready for it. It's a new regime, and this is the new era. And the season starts on Sunday. The season starts. We are 0-0 right now, as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of optimism, Mike.
0-0.
I love it.
Season starts on Sunday. Pats fans.
I love it. I'm sure Rob is thinking the exact same
I know he is. He is.
He definitely is. With that being said, we thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Gridiron. Please subscribe and hit that like button. Comment down below what you think of the Niners, of the Seahawks. Are the Bengals going to finally bounce back and win the big game? And so much more. Please follow all of our Instagram, Facebook, all our social media platforms. Please follow us. Hit the link in our description to check out Vivid Seats as well. And that's going to be it for us. Peace.